uh, what a phenomena it's been. I think a guy named David with Mike's assistance set something up in England, but so we started at 10:30 in the morning, but then we watched people take their squares. A lot of people, the same people kept coming every week. We had a 4 or 5 month little Zoom affair, and it's been interesting. The At least on my end, it's been interesting. I feel a fondness for people who I didn't know before, who I don't know anyway, but just a fondness, a lot of things. And we were joking about someone goes through this event and says, "Well, I can probably commoditize this. Yeah, I can offer a 5 month, 2 day Zoom sort of retreat and realistic expectations of certain effects to happen because of, but you can't sort of commoditize what's happened in this event because it was just an organic event and it grows its own way. You can't uh, you can't box the invitation of non-duality. You can't really commodify it. You can't put it in. All right, we're going to have a. You can either have the 3 week free trial of non-duality or make a commitment to the 3 month, 3 Zooms a week, and then we're going to measure everyone's growth after 5 months, and the growth plus the time Paul put into it is the amount of money you get charged or whatever. Yeah, and then we could move from one little platform to another, and we'd have our little package deal. But you can't do it, yeah, because the whole point is there is no point. Yeah, there isn't any arrival date. There isn't like, oh, now I got it. It's because you are it. See, this is one topic that's different than most other topics because the topic's whole determination is you already are where you may want to get to. Yeah. So basically, the topic itself, it's sort of like a bomb that explodes as soon as you get it. It's as soon as you get it, it explodes. There's no evidence that you ever got it. There's no evidence that anything happened because it's about it's just a fundamental state, let's say. And the fundamental state hasn't been lost or found or it hasn't weakened, it hasn't amplified. All those are narratives based on our relevance, but in fact, what we hope to rest in, we've been resting in the whole time. Now, the point of non-duality is really not to spend much time on the topic of non-duality. It's meant to spend time on the topic of duality so that we can see what we're not, you know, and see what we're not means because what you're not can't be seen. Even when it's presenting itself to be you, you can never see what you're not. Yeah. But the seeing of what you're not is more of an awareness. Yeah. You become aware that there are activities that can only happen, obviously, in time, and those activities are implying that their suggestion is what they're suggesting is already so. So when it's sort of like that fish that goes up for the bait, when the fish grabs the bait on the hook, that's the first time where it feels it's a fish. And not only when it gets the feeling of the fish, it feels like it's a historical fish. In other words, at that moment of identification, it tells you you've always been identified as Paul, which is, it's all manufactured, yeah? So we're just seeing the activity that implies or suggests something before the activity. It doesn't suggest something after the activity. The activity of selfing suggests there's something before. Like you are already there and this is just thoughts about you. No, the thoughts about you, right, imply there's a you. There's not you having thoughts about you. There's thoughts about you that are being used to imply a you. And the implying of the you is projected to be before the thoughts about you. So then you double up and now it's you having thoughts about you. Now you're sort of like in a double bind when there's no bind. Yeah? It's so weird. And so now there's one of you that you're not that wants to get out of the other you that you're not. So it tries to swim away from that which it's not as what it's not. So basically, it has a narrative, I'm getting farther away, or I got sucked back in, but if you see it, nothing's moved. If you could see it from outside the narration, you'd see nothing's moved. Self can't get out of self. An imaginary thing can't transcend an imaginary thing. Yeah? So the message is the non-duality is an incredibly beautiful, novel idea, but what we have to see is what reacts to it. Yeah? Because the reaction to it, in a way, is more important than the message, because the message isn't anything new. It's just basically saying there's not two. There's not subject object. There's not you and me. There's not this or that. There just is. Yeah. Now it's not arguing that there's an appearance of this and that in you and me. It doesn't care about that. It would capture that as dreaming. So there's a dreaming, and in dreaming, everything happens, but really nothing comes to a conclusive happening. Yeah, everything happens, but actually nothing happens. Yeah, it never turns into anything. It's just dreaming. Yeah, dreaming, like a verb that just goes on and on and on, not issuing from a noun, nor is it reacting to a noun. It's just verbing, things happening. So, all right, well, then where's the topic? If it's not non-duality, well, let's turn and see duality. Let's just see if those shoes fit. If the shoes fit, yeah, it leads you somewhere, and you can't be led to where you already are. So it leads you somewhere, and that leading you to is the seeing what you're not. Yeah, and in the awareness of what you're not, you'll recognize the indescribable, because you're that which is indescribable. Yeah, you'll sense it, you'll feel it, you'll be it. Yeah, and these things can have such a convincing effect that, let's say, that huge drive of using what you are to seek for what you are will dry up quickly. Yeah, and you'll lose interest in what you thought was your calling or your personal odyssey, and you'll recognize a whole lot without much fanfare. Yeah, you'll just see blue as blue and red as red. You don't have to have a parade. You just start seeing things clearly, and things, like in recovery, we have a dilemma where the problem resides in the mind, and the problem is presenting false evidence, and because of our addiction to the problem, we see false evidence to appear real. That's the dilemma. Yeah? And so we try to get out of false evidence, and by trying to get out of it, we make it real evidence. Yeah? We don't know the power that we wield. Yeah? Like the power that we wield captured by a statement in the Course in Miracles. Lesson 2, you and I give everything all the meaning it has. What? Yeah. We give everything all the meaning it has. So we give false evidence the meaning of being real, yeah, all day. And now we're reacting now to mythical dilemmas in yesterday and tomorrow. I don't see how we can't see the miracle working of that. I mean, at least when Jesus supposedly raised Lazarus from the dead, Lazarus had been alive at one time, yeah? We're making shit out of nothing. I mean, really. We're just making shit out of nothing. False evidence is appearing real all day, and we don't see our role in that. we go, how can false evidence, how can in 1 minute I feel like I'm incredibly in fucking heaven, and in 5 minutes I'm in hell? That's a little. How is there a bullet train that can leave heaven and get to hell that quick? It seems like strange that things can change without anything fucking changing. You know, it seems like it's all issued from where I am. What? Yeah. So the message of non-duality it's not much of a message, really. It's just a negation of the thousands of messages we have received from the interpretive programming about yes and no, this and that, male, female, subject, object. It's just a negating. Like all the data is in the problem side of the ledger. The solution is empty. It's just totally empty. It just says not that. It's just a negation of the other column. Yeah. So I hope it gets across. It's not the message so much, it's the feel of it. We're not does the invitation to check out the shoes you already have on, are the shoes you're having on, are they being used to look for what you're not, what you are from what you're not? Maybe, is that true? See, if it's true, I hope you stop walking in the shoes for a second, yeah? And maybe if you sit down and you'll try on some other shoes, and maybe you'll try on a shoe, it may be Huang Po, made in China, but in this case, very, very good quality. Huang Po, yeah, whatever can be perceived can't be perceiving. But obviously, that's just negated the whole thing I've been listening to for 60-something years. The thing I'm listening to believes the thing that can be perceived is what's perceiving. Now, am I wrong? 60 years of data, or is Huang Po wrong? I feel that he's right. It just feels right. And for me to believe the other shit, I've had to listen to it for 60 years and every day. For him, one statement cut the whole reality of the story. Whatever can be perceived cannot be perceiving. Yeah? Does your narrative sort of sound like it has that backwards? I mean, that's how it sounds like for me. My head's constantly claiming to be the seeing, the hearing, the feeling, the tasting, the touching, and it's resting that claim on the body. And I can see a body. I can see this body right now. Yeah. So I'm perceiving that which is constantly being told to me, that which is perceiving. I'm perceiving it. And Huang Po just gave me a nice ruler. Well, listen, bro. Whatever can be perceived can't be perceiving. What? Who would have thunk? Yeah. So this is the beauty of the message of non-duality. All you need to do is see what you're not, and that's it. Yeah? The finding out of what you are is inevitable. Yeah? It's inevitable. As soon as the seeming mistake is corrected, you realize there wasn't even a need for a correction. But let's just say, as soon as the mistake is corrected, you start finding out what you are as what you are. Not trying to find out what you are as what you're not. You give up that ghost. It just becomes obvious. It's not going anywhere. Yeah? And hopefully, I don't know, you'll see effects. You'll see effects in this little experiential life as this seeming action figure. And hopefully, you can categorize it with a big banner, hey, traveling lighter. And really, as this, what more did it ever really want? It wanted to travel lighter, basically. And it couldn't produce that. It can't. Yeah? It's the source of the heaviness. So it can't. So when it recognizes its true role, it moves aside and allows something else to live through it, which has always been able to live through it. And now it gets the byproduct of that, which is when light lives through you, you travel light. Yeah? It's just that simple. Yeah? So, there you go. I'm happy. Another Zoom day.
Paul, I'm going to mute all for a second, then unmute yourself. We're going to do a mute all reset. Okay, go ahead and unmute yourself. Oops, I lost him. Oh, okay.
Yes. I'm unmuted. Oh, the host is not allowing participants to unmute themselves.
Right.
Okay? Yeah.
Oh, but anybody want to raise their hands?
The host is not allowing anyone to raise their hands. I am the host. No questions for you.
So we got a question from Art. Mike, if you wanted to.
Okay.
All right.
Shoot. Oh, sorry. Okay, try again.
Hey, Paul, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. I'm trying to find you.
Oh, I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Go ahead. What's happening?
Hey, well, I like what you said. My friend wanted me to ask you a question, and I guess because this action figure is a people pleaser, I want to accommodate my friend. So, what the fuck is that? I mean, some people are narcissistic, some people are codependent, and I was thinking about this today, how it seems like the narcissistic personality can reach a wall and then see this. And then the codependent person can have the rug has to be pulled up under from you somehow. And what you were just saying really spoke to me, as far as you were saying that, someone like you can point to something and you go there to see that's not it. And that's the best that you could do, or any of us can do, I guess. Is that, do you agree, or am I understanding you correctly?
I don't know if it's the best or not. It's the one that works. Yeah.
Oh, that's the one that works. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how does that work? How does that work?
Well, I don't know how it works, but I can describe some of the effects. Yeah. One of the effects is almost changing the atmosphere of, let's say, constant moving, almost like enslavement, to acceptance. Yeah. So the action figure couldn't earn acceptance, couldn't gain acceptance, couldn't acquire acceptance, but it can express and observe acceptance. Yeah. And that's the case now. Yeah. So when it was seen, when Paul was taken to be Paul, it was like an urban renewal project. It demanded a lot of work and a lot of going get better, yeah, because it had a story. You got really bad, so now you got to go the other way. You got to get really good, yeah.
Yeah,
So you
sure.
better start meditating. You better start doing this, do that, and both of them were forms of slavery. I thought for a while, I thought the second one was the answer to the first slavery, but they're both the slavery, yeah. And so when I saw that what can be perceived cannot be perceiving, that was probably the best day the body ever had, because it stopped being held as the center of the universe. It stopped being held as me, and it got a huge break, yeah. And so it got reacquainted from the acceptance I used to feel with my grandmother, who I grew up with. That love, now I have an atmosphere of acceptance that I don't have to maintain, or I never produced, but it just became apparent when certain things were seen through. So that's one, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the other ones were not the other one. The biggest one was when I finally heard the message and then the corrections, it was like an unspoken yes. And it's been reverberating ever since. Yeah. It was sort of like getting a hit that you knew something before all knowing. Yeah. So there was no knowing that was going to get you back to what you already knew, so to speak. And so that was, and that's through hindsight and through looking at it in time, and also the sense of being the last answer, which was awesome because it negated any need for any other answers concerning this topic. Yeah. So when certain points that were shown to me landed, there was a convincing, like a real convincing, and they've never come up for debate or review or, yeah. So things, you know, on certain levels, things finalized, and it wasn't the finality of dying. It was a dying of dying to something quite a lot. Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
And then the presentation of the narrative as really like a news program or a news channel was turned into Comedy Central, which is really good.
Ah.
Yeah, because what was presented as the news really wasn't newsworthy, but it's comedy worthy for sure.
Wow.
I swear to God, it's pretty freaking hilarious when not taken seriously. Yeah.
You mentioned a final answer. Is that,
Yeah.
what does that mean? A final
For
answer?
me, the final answer was there was no need for any answer. Damn that. Yeah. But in my searching for answers, there was a point where I realized, just like there was a point where I knew there would be no more questions ever asked, there was just certain points you hit in, and one of them was the idea of the last answer came over time. So after entertaining these ideas, you know, a lot of people believe they've landed and they think this is it, but then they move to a better, bigger it, or a more radical it, or a more extreme it. There's never been moving from the idea of non-duality for me. So that's pretty cool.
Well, man, that's fucking awesome. And I just want to say thanks for your answer to my question. Thanks.
All right, you're welcome, brother. Thank you for your friend's question.
Yeah, shout out to Sean. Thank you.
AKA your friend, yeah.
Thanks, Art. Sean from Scotland.
Oh, is it Scott? It's Sean from Scotland. He's not
Hey,
on a
Paul.
bus. That's good.
Hey, yeah, shout out to Art. Yeah, good question, mate. Yeah, so I've been seeking for about 6 years now, and it was the most frustrating time until I ran into you, and it feels like the last just feels like the last station. You know, when you speak, I hear what you're saying. Some of your terminology kind of confuses me, and that's the only thing. Now, can you just explain? Like, okay, basically, I can see what I'm not now. You know, there's been a passing of thought from complete identification to knowing with a capital K what I am. It's a sense. It's a sense that I can't explain. But thanks to you, you know, and this Zoom meetings, you've really spoken to me in such a way where it's just like boom, you know, you put the fucking final fucking bitch slap on me. You know,
Yeah.
I
There's
got slapped
the,
hard. I got
there's the
slapped
final
hard.
fucking bitch slap. You got the final fucking bitch slap. That's the power one.
Yeah. So really, there isn't a question. It's just the only reason I'm asking a question is just the terminology is a little, I'm just curious. Like,
What terminology needs to be
okay, it's just because of this body mind, you know. I mean, okay. What can be perceived can't be perceiving. Okay. Now, does that mean looking at your body?
Don't blame me for that. Don't blame me for that. That's the way.
Okay.
Hmm?
Does that mean?
You want me to go into that? That's from Hawaii, a famous Zen medicine.
Could you just explain that a bit?
All right, so if everyone right now looks around their room they're in, hopefully they're in a room. Some people I know are in squatting or they're in a garage or somewhere, in a bus or something. But let's say just look around, yeah?
Yeah.
So everything, let's say the chair, that other person, you're perceiving another body, yes? Let's say if you were in a crowded room, yes?
Yeah.
The cat, the body of the cat, the couch, the bottles of water, hopefully no bottles of vodka and shit, just bottles of water. Yeah, all those things I can perceive, yeah?
Yeah.
If I can perceive them, his logic is that's not what's perceiving. What can be perceived is not what's perceiving. Yeah? So as you guys are looking through your square, you're seeing this body. Yeah?
Yeah.
So you're perceiving this body, but this body is not what's perceiving. So what's perceiving isn't something that isn't a thing. Yeah? It can't be touched, felt, taste, smelled, seen. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's that seeing, but it can't be seen. Yeah, it's that which is perceiving things, but it can't be perceived as a thing. Yeah,
So if I'm looking in
yeah,
the mirror at myself, that which I'm looking at can't be perceiving.
exactly. See, and that
Okay.
which is, and the
Sorry.
narrative is saying that which is perceiving.
Yeah.
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 See, where the narrative, when it's looking at your image in the mirror, is saying it's you as that image is
Yeah.
what's perceiving. That's what this assumption is. But Hawaiian Post trying to give us a correction by saying that assumption that that which is perceiving is that which can be perceived isn't true. Yeah?
Yeah.
So that which can be perceived cannot be the perceiving.
So where does perception come from then?
Well, perception comes from it's facilitated with the camera, but it's not the camera. It's the light going through the camera. Yes? So
Yeah.
the perceiving is not of the body. The perceiving is happening through the body, but it's not a product of the body. Yeah?
Oh, right. I see what you mean. Okay. I see what you mean. Yeah.
So
Right. Okay.
the whole idea, and see, it's not just to see the statement is healthy to apply. So if you take the statement, whatever can be perceived can't be perceiving, and then just apply it to the narrative that you have tons of intimacy with, the narrative in one's head is totally premised on that which perceiving is what's perceived.
So we are the utility in which perception is used through.
See, perception is limited because it's something moving. it moves through the body, and as it moves through the body, it gets defined, yeah, in a
Yeah.
certain, just like consciousness is. So there's consciousness comes through
Right.
it gets defined or expressed differently than consciousness going through a body, a human body. Yes?
Yeah.
Cats have a different spectrum of what they see. They have a different spectrum of what they can hear. They see things at night better than us. But what's driving all of that is consciousness. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, consciousness doesn't have any definition, but consciousness moving through something seemingly gets defined by what it moves through. Yeah?
Right. Right. Okay. What?
Behind, so the drive of perception is consciousness. And then there's a perceiving of what consciousness allows us to have contact with, and that perceiving is programmed or formatted, and it has a role to play. So we perceive things, but we don't perceive no thing. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I get that. Yeah.
The perceiving has a job. The perceiving is to support and reinforce the story, yeah, that you are what can be perceived, that the perceiving is a thing, that you're the one that's perceiving, which is fallacy.
Yeah. So we end up claiming what we're perceiving as the perceiver, but
Yes.
the truth is, the perceiving is actually, we're a utility that the perception is being used through.
Exactly. So the thing is,
Yeah.
this
Thank
is
you.
if you hear the message, whatever can be perceived cannot be perceiving, and you throw that into the narrative, every day's narrative, it's a negation of the whole narrative, because the whole narrative is based on I am what's seeing Paul as a body, and he just said no, that's not true. So it's not just, it's sort of like it's a fish. You just don't want to study the fish of whatever can be perceived cannot be perceiving. You want to throw it back in the ocean of the narrative and just check it out. It's a complete negation of the whole assumption of the narrative that we're listening to all day.
Yeah.
So there's seeing, there's hearing, there's feeling, there's tasting, there's touching, and the narrative says the seeing is the evidence there's a seer, and the seer is the body. The hearing is evidence that there's a hearer. It has nothing to do. That's a story. There's just seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. It's not verifying any seer and seen. It's just seeing. Yeah? The mental state makes up the seer and seen.
No, I get that now, and yeah, since since that time on the bus, that's when it sort of hit me. You know, it was like,
Now, don't be stupid enough to think you got to go back to the bus for it to hit you again.
no. No. But the good thing is,
What?
no, the good thing is, I'm completely aware of the false, of the falsity of it, of the what I'm not. You know, before I thought I was the one seeing, tasting, touching, feeling. You know, but now
Yeah.
now I can see it's just the narrative and everything is just a play. It's just not real. It's not true.
Yeah. And also, the one that arises and is claimed to be the one that sees it as not true is also not true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically, yeah. So yeah, that's great. You know, in fact, I was just confirming what I actually thought I
Yeah.
knew. What?
That's what we're always doing.
Yeah. No. But listen, man. Listen, I'm telling you, thank you, because you've put the final. You've opened the door for me. You know, you've opened the door for the suffering to start stopping.
Right. Yes.
And that's a dear gift. So I have another question, but I can't remember it. If there's enough time at the end, then I might put my hand up to see if there's anything. But yeah, for now, thanks, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for the yes.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for your bus ride. Richard is asking, is going to ask a question.
Yes. Where's Richard?
I got to unmute him. Wait. Richard, oops. Okay. No, try again.
Remember that old movie, The Warriors? Richard, come out to play.
Come out to play. That was Twisted Sister. Man.
Richard.
Yeah, that was the Warriors movie, 1970s, Circus 1970s.
I've been under that boardwalk.
Warriors, come out to play.
That's a dangerous boardwalk down there.
You know what really struck in the unspoken yes is don't take that action figure so damn seriously all the time. That's the message you got.
Yeah, that's a nice one. Yeah.
And that's traveling lighter, if anything.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's the thing. The thing that you set out to get you a life of traveling lighter cannot help itself. It's a heavying laden effect. Yeah. Yes.
See, this is a more special square, Paul, because that action figure bought a book. We bought your book.
I know you put a line around it. See, you have a gold line around it. You're in
a gold binder, right?
Many blessings throughout your life are coming from.
Yeah, indeed.
Kai's has got a neutral square. He's got to buy some merch.
Well, that last questioner, I kind of keyed in tight something that another way of saying what you've been saying about the perceiver. I don't know if you're able to read that right now, Paul, but I put that in the chat.
No, I don't see it, but why don't you say it?
Okay, it says perhaps another way of saying that is that there's somebody thought to be perceiving as a perceiver, but it is just simply the act of perception seemingly being perceived by a single perceiver when there is simply the act of perceiving ad infinitum and not a final perception.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Another way of saying it, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I have for now, and then maybe next year in 2021 I'll have another comment.
Well, please, yeah. You get either one a year or 10 for your whole life. So.
Okay. Fair enough. Thanks.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Richard. Yeah.
Thanks, Richard. Anybody else want to raise their hand?
Can't start eating now.
Later. I'll make you one later.
Gary C.
Mary C.
I'm
Mary?
I'm in a different corner this time.
This
No
is Mary.
corner though.
Oh, Gary.
Gary.
Oh, you've entered a new corner.
Yeah.
trying to
Different corner, same corner. So I guess what I'm thinking about is that one that sees something clearly for a moment and then claims it. It's like, aha, now I see it.
You see, the whole thing, Mary, again, there's a seeing of something and then there's a claiming of it. There's no see the seeing of something and the claiming of it. The you that's claimed to be the seer is not the seeing of something.
That must be good because it just confused my head to do that.
So they're seeing clearly, yes, and then there's the rising of the claiming of the seeing clearly to imply the seer.
Yeah.
So the seer comes after the seeing clearly, and then it sort of neuters just that what could be garnered out of seeing clearly by using it to claim there's a seer. Yes. Yeah. So now there's a seer who's seeing clearly, and that's not seeing clearly.
And he has a plan for establishing it all across the world and for everywhere and everything. And that whole plan is what's getting in the way of seeing that was already happening.
Well, it's
I
not the
don't know.
plan. It's just it's when it's your plan, then
Yeah.
it's having an ability it doesn't have as a plan. Yeah, you have to see. You're like the room divider. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're not. I'm
Yeah.
just the role. The role mind is playing. Yeah. There's tons. There's tons of seeing clearly. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of it never. The seeing clearly isn't something that's remembered really, or
It's
it just
no.
there's no experiencer in it, so there's I don't know what happens. It's just seeing clearly, and then some of the seeing clearly gets claimed, yeah, to
Yes.
imply seer who's very clear, and then that gets traction in the mental time, yeah. And
Yes.
so it goes off on another mental tangent and shit like that. But it's funny, at any moment, at any time, when there's a pause or an exhausting, you go right back to where you've always been. I mean, it has to sooner or later dawn on you that you never leave. You go back with, it takes absolutely no time to seemingly go back to where you were or you always are. And then you have to realize you can't leave. Yeah, this whole impression that it tries to feed us that, oh, yes, I've split. I'm caught up in being the seer of clarity. No, none of that. There's all the act of being identified. There's no identification ever happened. Yeah. It's just implied, 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 implied. We are very suggestive in a way. So the audience supplies the butt of the joke, so to speak. Yeah. But then when we align the butt of the joke, we take it seriously. The fun part is to see being the butt of the joke as not the butt of the joke. That's fucking funny to me. Yeah. So I don't know. It's confusing, but it's a flavor and a feeling. We're all gonna become quite not we. There's gonna be an intimacy with it. Once you start seeing how it's, let's say, camouflaged and seemingly pasted over, there's direct communication. There's just clarity. Like blue is blue and red is red. There's no fucking around with serenity and peace. Yeah, it's available. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I really appreciate you having these sessions. Just as a place to sort of go for a dip and have that reminder,
Yeah.
be
Yes.
present.
Yeah. I'm really I've grown fond of you and a lot of the people here. Before Zoom, I probably would never have done a Zoom because I like live, but obviously certain circumstances, we couldn't have live meetings, and so people suggested Zoom, and so I did it, and yeah, I have a
Yeah.
fondness for meeting all these people I wouldn't be able to go ahead and meet. Yeah, like
We're grateful.
John O. and Mandeep, and maybe some of you I don't, but most of you I do, Norman and stuff like that. Yeah. So I get it. We have and the continuity of it is cool in time. I like coming back and seeing the same people. And I'm hoping, see, the point of sharing a message, especially with this topic, you gotta do return visits and be like an ear doctor. You gotta hear how it's been heard, yeah? And just attempt to keep on like putting it through the sifter, yeah? So there can be a communication of, it's the sense, it's not the words and it's not the understanding. It's like the joy behind the message, yeah? It's like the finality of relief being the basis, yeah? All that. It's just that's what you're attempting to get through this platform, yeah?
Yeah.
A feeling. Or it's not
Yeah.
not a feeling that has a feeler, just a sense of things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's here. It's working.
Well, there you go. Then I've done my job. All I got to do is show up. There's a couch. I've got an iPad. Put on the Zoom and let's go. Yeah.
I think maybe it's just as easy on our side too.
It tells the difference between Zoom 1 and Zoom 80, you know? It's just the same. It's just a giant Zoom.
Pretty much the same in every square.
Well, I like to see the people's faces change, like yours and Johannes and other people. I've seen, see, a lot of times in live you can pick up people a lot better, but in Zoom you can see clenchedness on the face, yeah, like a muscular structure that's manufactured, and it's nice when that starts dropping, yeah, and there's like a, yeah, yeah, I look forward to watching, so yeah. You know, like when you're not in the pursuit of okayness, you're starting from okayness. It's a nice, it's such
I
the
mean,
whole
that idea was never
different
even
with the
available.
starting point. If the starting line is you're okay, the race is seen completely different than I've got a race to getting to be okay. Yeah, it's such a joy
Yeah.
not to
Yeah.
take. Yeah.
It throws a wrench in my whole starting lineup. I just, wow. There's nothing, I can't, I can't get out of the starting blocks. I don't even need the starting blocks. Wow. It just takes the steam out of my whole, um, you know,
Yeah,
mm, next steps. It's great. But
yeah. You get totally improvised. It's nice.
yeah, what's next? I don't know.
No, and it's fine, man. Yeah. See, they used to say the greatest security is in uncertainty. Yeah.
Mm.
That's where you'll find the greatest security is in uncertainty. Yeah. It's a tricky, but it's true in a way. Yeah.
Mm.
I'd be a lot more concerned if I had a giant scaffolding of okayness that could just collapse at any minute. But I'm just
Mm.
free falling. You know, I'm living up
Mm.
by the you know my pants. I'm just
Yeah.
so basically, I don't have any structure to hold on to, and you can become used to that. And I like that way of traveling. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, I like it.
yeah. It doesn't need much maintenance, and
No, high
it's
maintenance.
it keeps invigorating itself. You don't have to feed it much. I mean, a Zoom or two a week. That's not bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like I maybe have to get to a meeting to undo some of the structure that I've created in a little bit. But yeah, there's not much to do.
Well, there'll be less and less, so don't worry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Paul. Here I am across the country from where I live in California. I'm in South Carolina. and I can still come to a meeting. How great is that?
I know, it's really unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, all the people that I meet here, it would have taken me 30,000 miles of flying. Not bad, eh?
No, and it works pretty good.
A lot better than
think.
my couch. The air's a lot better. I got more leg room. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thanks, Gary. Always good to be with you. And our fond friend Mandeep is up now.
Mandeep.
Hey, hey, Paul.
Mandeep.
Okay. Question. It's gonna be a little bit of splitting hairs here, but I'm kind of stuck on this one. So, when I listen to music, the music is heard, and it is also enjoyed. Now, who's hearing it and who's enjoying it? The hearing part seems like it can be done through the body, and some kind of self is the ones which is saying, I would enjoy it, therefore I put it on. However, sometimes I'm left with this quandary. Did the joy arise out of that experience, or was the joy always there and independent of that experience?
Wow, yeah. Well, who cares, really? Really?
So should I not care about the joy then?
Well, I wouldn't know. Just see you're not that which cares about the two of them. Yeah?
About either of them?
If you try not to care, that just furthers the whole thing. Just see, are you that which really cares about these questions? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that which cares is a
Yeah, and so the idea. I know what trips you up. You feel like there's got to be a doer somewhere or a haver. So you'll give into the hearing of it. All right, so there isn't any there, but the joy of hearing it, there must be a someone there. There's no one home. Period. There's verbing. Yeah. Sometimes it seems to align, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it seems the music produces the joy, sometimes the joy opens you up to the music. Yeah. It matters. It doesn't, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Yeah.
So this chase of happiness is what?
The what?
Wanting to chase happiness, wanting to be free of all that stuff that bothers me.
Well, ask who it is that is garnered from the claiming of the wanting to chase happiness. Because what's giving the meaning to the chasing and the happiness isn't happiness and chasing. It's coming from this imaginary you. Yeah? That's where the meaning. So if the meaning coming from you is that you have to chase happiness, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yeah.
This is how it goes. Do you have to chase happiness? No, obviously not. Most people would realize it's sort of like chasing a butterfly. If you chase the butterfly, it never lands. If you finally just fucking give it up, then the butterfly lands on your shoulder, yeah? Who would have thunk? Well, that's showing you something going on here. So I'm interested in the who, because the who is what's giving the importance of happiness and the chasing of it, yeah? It's not chasing and happiness. The meaning to chasing and happiness is being given to it. It's through something, not by something, yeah? It's a mental, the mentality is giving meaning to things, and that the giving of meaning to things is represented by Mandeep, yeah, which is a complete fabrication, yeah. So then when you take Mandeep out of it, you'll see the nakedness of what's happening, yeah. The mental state is giving meaning to chasing happiness, not just, and most of the meaning has nothing to do with finding happiness. It's to do with beating the shit out of the one that's not finding happiness through all the chasing, which is Mandeep, yes? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see, a purpose is given to the chasing happiness that usually has nothing fucking to do with happiness. It has to do with reinforcing Mandeep. That's what it has to do with, yeah?
Yeah.
So at least
Yeah. For
knowledge-
Mandeep to exist, that he needs something to do.
I acknowledge the mechanics of it and
Yeah.
see the sheen of personalness that's put on a mechanical activity. Yeah, just see it. It shines only because it's you. The idea of you lends it shine, yeah? And then suddenly happiness has a huge meaning. Do you give a shit if other people are chasing happiness? Unless you're in the same race with them, no. Because you're afraid they'll beat you to happiness before you get there. But you don't give a shit about other people chasing happiness, do you? No, the importance of the chasing and the happiness is based on Mandeep, and I'm telling you, Mandeep isn't based on reality.
So,
Yeah? Mandeep derives from the claiming of the chasing happiness.
mhm.
And now Mandeep thinks it's the one that's chasing happiness. Yeah?
Agreed. So if I drop Mandeep,
You can't drop Mandeep because
Well-
there's no Mandeep to drop. See,
agreed.
this is giving
So
you
leave Mandeep aside.
Mandeep has just appeared and is going to drop the previous Mandeep. That's
Fair enough.
the story.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's drop the previous Mandeep. All right. Now, attached to the previous Mandeep is a whole bunch of, virtuosity.
Let's drop the previous Mandeep. The previous Mandeep means shit. It's the contemporary Mandeep. Yeah.
Okay. So what about all this stuff we ought to be virtuous and this and that? Is it all
What
BS?
about it? What about it?
Is it
Is
all
it-
BS? Because that's always attached to a self, right?
Ethics and morality are in the land of the dreaming, so to speak. Yes, that's the land of the action figure. We're not speaking about ethics and morality.
Perfect.
We're speaking about, is there a long-lasting, independent, separate thing that's causing everything? That's the seer, the hearer, the feeler, the taster, the toucher, the thinker, the experiencer. Is there or isn't there? Is there a solid stationary thing that's independent from everything else? And it's called Mandeep. And Mandeep has a life, and it's Mandeep's life, and Mandeep has thoughts, and they're Mandeep's thoughts, and Mandeep is having feelings that only Mandeep has. Yeah? Is that true or not?
Yeah.
If it isn't true, then Mandeep isn't true. And if Mandeep isn't true, I don't give a shit about the previous Mandeep, and I don't give a shit about the prior Mandeep. Yeah? I've lost interest in Mandeep, and then I see the head chasing happiness far out. I see the head chasing happiness really to be right. Oh, I see that also. I see a bird fly by. I smell the flower. I feel the wind. Everything. Yeah? It's an uninterrupted event. Yeah? Mandeep is like a certain, it's like a dam put in the flow of all the verbing. And then the whole story of the verbing is seen from the noun or of the dam, and I don't believe the dam. So, yeah. I'm not that interested in the story of life as a dam. I'm into the story of life as rivering, so to speak. Yeah, because that to me is what's happening. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. It's just,
Awesome.
see, yeah.
Ultimately, the
It's
seeking has to
like
drop.
Mandeep, and it's not Mandeep. Let's say Paul. I had it once. I was doing some talks in Dublin, Ireland, and I was doing it for another person. I was like a hired gunslinger. They brought me in and I spoke. And so some people from outside the retreat came just the last time I spoke. And this guy comes in, he says, "Oh, I've been listening to you for a while, and you make it sound so easy that you're not the body." And he says, "But it's impossible for me to realize I'm not the body." And I said, "Yes, as the body, it's impossible for you to realize you're not a body." You see, the impossibility of not being a body is given to you by the identification as a body. So yes, if you're hearing the message from the system, it's impossible to get out of the system. When you hear the message about the system from outside the system, you see it was truly impossible to be in the system. It just matters where the hearing catches you. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
I really like you, Mandeep.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
And if you surrender that seriousness, it'll be turned into
Yeah.
what Nisargadatta called earnestness. And you can't lose with earnestness. Earnestness that's been turned into seriousness, I'm not into too much. But the childlike earnestness is awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
It's difficult to drop the seeker. I think that's where I'm stuck at.
Well, you don't have to drop it. Just see it. Yeah. See how the seeker, there's got to be seeking to imply the seeker. The seeker is not doing seeking. The seeking is used to imply the seeker. Yeah. Yeah. So just, you got plenty of seeking going on. So use it. See what's going on. Yeah. And if you see it, you're not it, obviously. You're not seeing Mandeep from Mandeep. You're seeing Mandeep from what you are.
Sure.
That's clear knowledge, yeah?
Yep.
You see the manufacturing of the owner or the doer and the seer, not from the owner or the manufacturing. You see it from afar. You're not that, yeah? If you want to call yourself anything, I would say awareness would be a much better definition of what we are than the idea of Mandeep or Paul, who wants to be aware. Yeah? Does awareness want to be aware? No. Does Mandeep want to be aware? Yes. Mandeep mustn't be awareness. Obviously. Because awareness isn't stretching its neck out to be aware. It ain't. It's just its own nature. If you see something's nature, there's really no thought or effort involved. Yeah? I don't see how we can believe thought and effort is going to lead us to that which demonstrates no thought or effort. I just don't see it. Yeah. Yeah. Mandeep would be the last one to get out of Mandeep. That's fucking for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I see the seeking now as just another mechanism for the survival of the storied Mandeep.
Yeah. And it's fine. Let it survive in time. It doesn't need to go anywhere. Your Mandeep's appearance or disappearance isn't crucial. The mental state would like you and me to believe it is, because then it has relevance. So if it can't be the one who finds the truth, it wants to be the one that blocks us from the truth. To me, Mandeeping goes on and on until it doesn't. Yeah. But I'll tell you something. The way the audience sees Mandeep will change dramatically, entertaining this message. Yeah. Mandeep will not be will not be a source of prophecy or newscasting. It'll be more a comedy routine, basically.
Okay.
I mean, so I'm really happy to see you, Mandeep. Keep coming back, I hope. Yeah?
Will do. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
enjoyed these sessions. Thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Mandeep. Andreas iPhone is up next.
Andreas.
Hi there, Paul.
Hello, Andreas.
Hey, we haven't actually spoke before, but I've listened to you for years, so it's great just checking in. Actually get to see you face to face, so to speak.
Yeah, I see you now.
Yeah.
Like a listener of Zen Bitch Slap, Andreas.
Sorry, come again?
Like a listener of Zen Bitch Slap.
Among other things, yes. Yeah. No, I was listening. So I didn't really have a question, other than perhaps, you know, as I await coming on, having raised my hand, there's this. I think there's a need for this character to be in control. So there's a lot of mental activity going on about what's needed to be said, or you know, bringing it to the forth. And I wonder, that seems to be that's an element of control in that. Like the character needs to feel as if it's the one in charge, I suppose.
Yeah. Thank God you're not that.
Yeah.
It's a terrible thing to be something that wants control yet has no power.
Yeah.
It's quite a dilemma for the mental condition.
It's an ongoing battle.
Yeah.
Whereas, because I don't know how many times I've heard you say the same things over and over to the point that, you know, when is he going to deliver the next message, or when is it going to be different to some extent. But actually, I'll have maybe there'll be a processing going on, and then all of a sudden there'll be like today, I think I've heard things differently than I've heard them in the past. Yeah. So it's such a shift, you know, having that perspective of the seeing is completely impersonal. There's nothing needed. That there's no control to be exerted from this supposed character. Because I suppose it's already happening on its, you know, on its own.
Yes. But it's the same thing, though. The character itself is going to live as if it has control, or have an understanding that it doesn't have control. It's still going to play out its pantomime. Yeah.
Right.
But the whole point is see, it's when the aperture opens up and you see the space around the activity of palling or selfing, yeah? That's what brings the lightness to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not all about it and then you shoot it up with light. You lose interest in it and you gain interest in the spaciousness, you know, of whatever. And in that, it's right-sized, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, it continues to do while in Rome as the Romans do, but Rome isn't the center of the universe anymore. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So, and then yeah. And there's just sober admitting of its inability. It can't get it. See, this is the whole point. Yeah. I saw it when I was younger. I had a spiritual teacher, a guru in the 70s. Yeah. I was only 19. The guru didn't. I didn't meet him first. He actually came out of a guru family, and he was the newest franchise holder. I didn't know that. So his father had all these older teachers, and they came to America first, and they gave talks, and they were cool, and then they initiated us into meditation. Yeah. So I did the meditation and stuff. And months later, the kid, he was only 11 years old, came and he was presented as the Lord of the universe. And that sort of
Right.
caused a lot of trouble. But I remember I was with them for about 4 years, 5 years. And then I sort of broke away. And then I had got run over by a car like twice in this one night, ended up in a extremely screwed up physical condition. And while in the hospital, I went into altered states. Yeah, probably because I may have eaten a lot of opium when I was younger, and they must have gave me medication that you're not supposed to get if you've eaten opium. And it put me into different worlds. And I would see all these videos of him that never were released, and I could actually fly, and I could fly through people. And I learned each time I went into these dreamscapes, I remembered the qualities I had found out the ones before. So I could fly through people without hurting them. So I was flying around, and I flew down to Miami where he lived, one of his residencies, and he was giving a meeting with people, followers with children, because he had children. And he was sitting on a little die, and there was all these people, and I'm flying around the room, and people are going crazy, and I'm going, don't worry, I can fly right through you. And I landed on the die, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I, like, telepathically was saying, what's the answer? And he said, you're too fucking confused, too complex to get it, yeah? And I got it. I felt unbelievably sad. I can't get it. I can't fucking get it. I can't get it. Yeah. And it was and so it was weird because, all he did was curl his lip. And I just sort of got the futility. Yeah. Now, that didn't come to play until I heard non-duality. But it had a huge impact in this dream world. Whatever. But that's one of the recognitions that became galvanized by hearing the message. Yeah. I realized the utter futility of this being a vehicle to going anywhere other than stores or beaches or shit like that. It's not, it's not the chariot of the gods. It's not going to be how I drive to my authentic destination. It's nothing. It's not. Yeah. And I feel like I was thoroughly convinced of that. Yeah. Completely. And it never comes up for review. And there's a number of those things that were fundamentally how this was built that never come up for review. They just got like a whack-a-mole, and no mole showed back up. The game was over. Yeah. And what a relief. Yeah. What a relief that this is one incredibly important thing in many people's lives that there's nothing that you need to do about. It's so fucking awesome, really. Yeah? And that the doing a shit about it is actually a way of fucking obscuring it even more. It's so beautiful. I wish everything in life was that. But this is, yeah, because you are what you're looking for. You are, right now. You are that, and whatever now it is you're looking for, you are that. Yeah, what a beautiful message. And then comes with a pack of warnings so that you can see how the mental state will constantly regroup and reconfigure you as a thing and go on, and then hopefully not take it seriously. Yeah, and so after a while, it's the seriousness that gives it a lot of light. When it's held in humor, the whole stage dims down. Yeah, and then the background gets bigger and lighter. Yes? Yeah. That which doesn't come and go, that which doesn't go in and out or amplify or decrease. And then your eye, then a certain eye in us never leaves it's never off the ball, so to speak. Yeah? Yeah.
So trust seems like central in all of this. Like you have those glimpses, or you have the sense that it's all taken care of. And if there is a level of trust in that fact, maybe there's an easing into that.
Well, not maybe. There's more than an easing into that. There's an easing out of something.
Right.
Because the faith is already in something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, the faith is in the finite.
Yeah.
And then you realize there's a realization that the finite is a failed system. Yeah. And then the faith, you don't move it, the faith moves to something much more reliable. Yeah. And you're on a need to know basis. If there's a need for you to know shit, you will. If there ain't, you won't. But now the horse is in front of the cart, something is established, and then proceed. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fundamental in a way, and the amount of being fundamental is, like the Course would say, it's a correction where there was never a need for correction. But because everything is truly imaginary, everything is truly seemingly so. It's appearing to us to be so. It's not something so that's appearing to us. It's appearing to us to be so. We're the dreaming, yes? We're the dreaming. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Paul. It's great just having a short chat.
It's the trust is already in something. It needs it, and so
Yeah.
recognizing that and the futility of having faith in a failed system, that allows the faith to be moved or to migrate to something much more reliable. So now the faith, instead of being used to produce mental anxiety out of the mental state, produce what's not happening, it's producing an ease and comfort now. You're chilled out. Yeah.
No, and I think that was a good point you made there, that it's not actually me taking a leap of faith. Actually, faith moves by its own accord, by the seeing of the well, let's use the word futility of
The me is a huge leap of faith. The me. That's a huge leap of faith. We're believing impossibility all fucking day. That's a huge leap. There's a leap of faith into what you are. You were there. There's a leap of faith into what you're not. It doesn't change anything, but it can appear to seem like it changed things. Yeah?
Right.
Maybe 80 years or 70 years or 90 years or 1 minute or 5 minutes. But it's all seeming. It's all seeming. It's appearing to be true. It's not. But see, that power is incredible. When it's matched with what is actually true, that's awesome. See? We're believing false evidence, and it's causing it to seem to appear to be real. Could you imagine if you believed true evidence? That's a very powerful combination. That gives us the ability to be convinced. Yeah. Completely convinced. Moving on, that's the end of that fucking little tributary. Moving on. Yeah. Yeah. So the leap of faith is the idea of what you're not. Really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just seeing it sets off the migration, really. It does. The migration is just waiting. It's by our seeing. The seeing sets off the migration. The faith moves, and you'll know the tree by its fruits. You will. You'll see.
Good.
Yeah, it's nice
Well,
to
I'll
see.
be migrating back to bed now. Actually, I'm in Sweden, so we're much ahead of you. So great talking to you.
Nice to see you, brother. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Andreas. Good night. Sunil is up next.
This is a nice time of year in Sweden. I like Sweden in August, September. Yeah, I know. I was in Stockholm for a while. I really loved it. Yeah.
I remember actually. Yeah.
Yeah, way back then.
Yeah.
I thought I was having I had a sort of intense Kundalini thing there. I felt like I was having a heart attack every day for about the 3 weeks I was there. Made me a little uncomfortable in Stockholm.
Stockholm syndrome.
The Stockholm syndrome. All right, thank you. All right, Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, Sunil's already up.
Is it me next, Sunil?
Yep. Yes.
No, it's never.
Hey, Paul. I haven't been coming to these meetings for a while.
Yes, we've been watching you. Yeah.
Big brother. No, I kind of, lost interest in the message for a little while.
Great.
And then I saw your video on Facebook live stream, so I thought, hey, let's join. So I came along today out of curiosity. And I guess really what's been happening for me is that there's been a loss of interest in this message, probably because I was doing other stuff. My attention had shifted onto, I was doing a lot of natural grounding, which is healing with the feminine, female archetypes, healing the masculine through that. And that's been giving me this kind of, it's almost like that shift from the finite to the infinite. And what I've been noticing is just more ease of connection with out there in the world, from people, from women, certainly. And it's almost like I haven't needed to look at the selfing all the time like I used to.
Great.
Right?
Great, yeah.
And I think that was becoming quite obsessive for me. And it was all part of that seeking movement to be in control, Sunil wanting to run the show. And there's been an easing off of that. But I think subtly deep down underneath these other practices that I'm doing, natural grounding, which is healing to the feminine, female archetypes, there is still, I suspect, some kind of attempt to reinforce Sunil, the character. I don't know, but I stopped even looking at that. But now that I've come onto this meeting, I'm thinking, well, maybe there is that motive of control that Sunil wants to hold on to. But you know what? It's been okay. It's been okay for that to happen. But
yeah, maybe the thief is on vacation, but the policeman just showed up to work. Send the policeman to vacation also.
How do you mean?
Just do what you're doing, The message is underlying everything. It doesn't need much attention. Once it's been set off, and you'll get what you need and you'll get what you don't need, and things will serve you here Yeah.
Yeah, for the attention to shift from away from the selfing, it's got to be filled up by something else, hasn't it? It's got to be, because the attention's always going to be on something. So why not have it on?
It can be on nothing.
Healing? Sorry?
It can be on nothing, the attention.
Yeah, but I can't do that. I can't be on nothing.
Yeah. You can't do that, but maybe that's where it will go. Nothing's pretty cool.
It's also quite uncomfortable, isn't it, for the mind?
Well,
And
thank God you're not the mind.
Sunil. So it has to fill itself up with something, I think.
Well, yeah.
For me, it's just been, there's
action
been.
figure, Sunil. Maybe you needed to take care of the action figure. It's not exclusive to the message. The message allows you to do things without so much taking everything so seriously. That's awesome. Yeah. So, yeah.
Do you think that's what's happening here?
I don't really know. I can't read you well with the Zoom, so it's difficult. Live is better. So
yeah.
Zoom has got a certain masking ability. Yeah, my feeling. So, but hey, I don't know. I mean, the message wasn't. The message is to launch a lot of people doing a lot of things. Really, yeah. The message is the heralding of needing not to do anything. It's a lot of things. It's more like it's not a path to illumination. It illuminates whatever path you're on. That's what it is. So, I would take you as a successful customer. So there you go. Now you can explore all this other shit.
Yeah, maybe that's some of that other stuff that I'm exploring is still driven by the selfing.
So of course it's driven by the selfing, but are you?
Yeah.
The selfing is going to claim whatever quote unquote Sunil is doing. It's mechanical.
Yeah.
Its success rate is imaginary. It just tries to convince you it's already done. Yeah? Just selfing is the act of selfing is not the defeat. Yeah? The act of selfing is mechanical. You see it. It continues after you see it, and it was continuing before you see it. Yeah? The seeing of it changes the dynamics, yeah? So when you see it, it's not, you don't imagine the preceding of the self being the one that's doing the selfing or being fucked up by the selfing, yeah? When you actually see it, there is no self there. When you're listening to selfing, the self is implied. So either the self's doing it and now it has to learn not to do it, or the selfing's doing it to the self. Somehow it plays a role in it. It's not true. So selfing continues, but the idea of the self being imagined before the selfing, that you see that. Yeah.
And it's just then free to do its own thing, isn't it? It's just free to do its own thing then. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like it allows you to do nothing or do other things. Yeah. You don't have to seek permission or shit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're not the doer of it anyway. So there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no direction. I'm directed. I have absolutely no direction. I'm directed. Life tells me what to do, and then I find out by where I am. I observe it. I go, well, I guess this is where it is.
Yeah. And there are times when I still think, oh, I'm not there yet. Or I've got to strive and I've got to do this to get there, and which is all the selfing.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's no self. So there, you just hear it. See, there's a huge difference in hearing it and listening to it. Yeah. Listening to it is usually is implying the ears of self. Yeah. Hearing it is self. There's no self. Yeah. There's just selfing. Yeah. And if you take out the imaginary self, it's very repetitive, very mechanical. It doesn't have an infinite amount of traits. It's very defined. It's just it's a program. Yeah, it's a programming that plays with time, and the way we're mostly programmed by time, it fools us because we believe there was the past, there's this present, and it's inexorably moving to the future. But the mental state plays time differently. The mental state says something happened, right, before it happened. So there's an activity, the activity implies there's a one, and then the one is presupposed to be before the activity. And we fall for it all the fucking time because the blindness of the programming is we think time is inexorable, and so the before is always before, the present is always there, and the future is always after. Well, the mental state plays it differently. Yeah? And then there's just so much swallowing of so much bait. Well, some people, I realize when there's no thought. So they have a lot of thoughts about no thought. They want to get to no thought, yeah? Or then the other thing is, I'll be free the day selfing stops. No, you're free inherently now, yes? There's no prescribed date. There's no prescribed way it's triggered. You are it. You are it. Yeah? You're not in the act of becoming it, or you're not in the act of unbecoming it. You are it. You can't get around the fact. So all the impossibilities that are huff and puffed, you start seeing through it. It's like haze in the fucking air. Yeah? It's not the space, it's haze. Yeah? It's seemingly filling the space, but it's not the space. Yeah? And that sky has never been affected by whatever has appeared in it. It's just holding the space for everything to appear in it. That's sort of like us. So, yeah. So
the thing is, though, Paul, the selfing is very deceptive. It hides itself from us in loads of deceptive ways, I think. And
no, it hides itself as us. It doesn't hide itself from us.
That's it. That's what I mean. Yeah.
As us. That's the only camouflage it has. Selfing is not deceptive. Selfing is not deceptive. It's when you're hearing it as a self, it's incredibly deceptive. Yeah?
Yeah, well, that's what it does. Yeah.
You're thinking you're hearing selfing as the product of selfing. Of course, it's incredibly deceptive then. But it's not deceptive at all. It's repetitive.
Yeah.
It's repetitive. And its whole trick is time-based. That which comes after, which is the idea of being the one, is implied to be before, which is the activities that are being claimed to imply the one. That's the whole trick. Yeah? You've seen it. You have definitely seen it. Everyone here has seen it. Yeah? But usually the seeing of it gets overridden by the looking at it as self. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just...
That's its trick, isn't it?
Involved. I'm here to share with you there's a fact involved that's not determined by selfing or non-selfing. There's a fact, yeah? The fact is you are that, yeah? Now it can seem like a fact or it can seem like it's not a fact, but it doesn't change the nature of it, which is a fact, yeah? That's the great, great, great relief, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Sunil, take it easy.
That's awesome, man. Thank you.
Come back and, yeah, let us know what's happening.
Will do, man. I'll try and come back on soon. Thank you.
I'll try to live vicariously through you. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to do that through you.
I'll just listen to your experience of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Yes.
Thank you.
Fritz had his hand up, but he just took it down.
Thanks. Great.
So is that the case, Fritz?
Hey, we're going to end soon, eh?
Okay, and if he isn't, then there was a question by chat from another Paul from Long Island.
Oh, another Paul from Long Island.
Yeah,
I got to hear that. Yeah.
His microphone wasn't
I
working.
didn't think there was any other Paul from Long Island.
I know we met other people from there. So anyway, his microphone wasn't working. I'll read it. Okay. After the meetings seemingly end, is there any specific recommendations for people who revert back to their seeming sense of self despite the hearing and clearing and revealing?
Not believing that you revert back to the other thing.
Now,
Really? So isn't that, you see how that, there's an assumption that you revert back. Who's fucking believing that?
there's a belief that there's going to be that future person. Yeah.
Question that. We say it so casually. We say it's like a distant, it's like a million miles of distance is just casually, oh yes, I'm going to return to that. No, you don't. You don't return fucking anywhere. Yeah.
And he says, by chat, I love that. No nonsense.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously. See, if this is something that can be bent and determined, so if the problem determines the solution, it ain't a fucking solution. The solution has nothing to do with the activity of the problem or what we call the problem. It has nothing to do with it, in a way. Yeah? We don't have to bend it to fit the system. Just see the failure of the system, and then you'll find out what happens, yeah? And the subtleties of the failure of the system will gasp for another method or another way or something like that. It has a stubbornness where it just doesn't want to give up the ghost, but they're finite. It will give up the ghost, yeah? And then you're done with it, and then you can just whatever, you know? Wouldn't it be beautiful that if, like, that whack-a-mole, you whack one mole and then it never comes up again? Yeah, that's the beauty of it. There's finite moles. You don't have to be constantly whacking the mole, yeah? The finite moles, some of them are the idea of I can be out of the moment. That's fucking totally insane, yeah? And it drives you to want to get into the moment, which verifies the fact that's been made up that you have the possibility of being out of a moment. That's impossible. And then all the other shenanigans that come out of the belief that you're in self and you want to get out of self. Yeah? So basically, we're switching around. We're trying to get into what we can't be out of, which is the moment, and we're trying to get out of what we can't be in, which is self. Yeah? So admit that from the system's point of view, forward is backward, backward is forward, yeah? Moving ahead is falling behind. Let's just get clear. So hopefully you'll stop, see the faith in intellect and reason and see the finiteness of it, yeah? The system can't know. It can't. It can only know what the system affords it to know. Yes? The knowing we're speaking about is not of the system. It's not rehabilitating the system. We're not trying to whistle it for it to come over. We're just trying to put it in its rightful place. You precede it. You are awareness. You do not need to be made aware of. You are awareness. Everyone wants to reassert them as the starting point. That Mandeep or Paul or Jono, that's not the starting point. The starting point is the seeing, yeah? What comes after does not come before. What's in front of the camera is never going to be behind the camera. We are behind the camera, and then there's appearances before the camera, yeah? We are not of appearance. We are not of thing. As Jesus says, you're in this world, so you're in this world before the camera, but you're not of this world. You are of behind the camera. Yeah? And there's no one seeing the seeing. There is no one seeing the seeing, and the seeing isn't a one. There's no one seeing the seeing, and the seeing isn't a one. There isn't the great seer, there's seeing. Yeah? It's not of thing. It's not of this world. It's not of appearance. It's not of disappearance. Yeah. You can't know it. You can't get it. You can't find it. You can't lose it. Yeah. You can't identify with it. You are it. You're way past the point of anything. There's no intermediary stages. You are it. Yeah. It's not going to be a slow development being it. You are it. As St. Francis says, what's looking is what you're looking for. It wasn't the real text. This is how it's said. What's looking, and then 50 pages of orders to become what you're looking for. No, it was a simple description of what's happening. What's looking right now is what you're looking for. End of story. You agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. That's the message, yeah? And if you don't like it, fucking bring it up with Huang Po or Ramana or St. Francis. I'm just sharing, yeah?
He says by chat, amazing. He says by chat, amazing. It's like the instructions are ... No instructions, yet we demand instructions.
Yes, and thank God you're not the we that demands it, yeah? Thank fucking God, yeah? Why do you want to be held up for ransom by the one that's ransoming? Whatever, it's crazy. Just fucking stop paying, extortion to your fucking mental condition. Fucking, you're much larger than that. Yeah. Yes. Oh, hey, that's it, I think, today.
And Sean remembered his other question.
All right. One more. Yeah. That's why we have shorter meetings in liveness, because there's no time for people to remember their questions. We've all gone. We left. Yeah. I lingered too long. Neighborhood. Numbers. Who is it?
It's Sean.
Oh, Sean from Scotland. Scott, Sean, but hey, this is got a number of questions already. All right, one more.
No, it's cool, man. I can save it for another time.
Save it for about, how about 2023?
Can I just say one thing? The Warriors was my favorite film for years, and me and my brother and my family we used to have say little things, little quotes out the film. So you stood on the same piece.
Yeah, that's not a great honor, I'm telling you. It's Coney Island.
God damn, man! I tell you, that's the best thing I've heard tonight. I swear.
Coney Island's a little bit of a dump, but yeah.
No,
if you
it's cool.
Just go to New York City, get on the F train, subway. Yeah. That's its last.
I ain't allowed into America.
Huh?
I've got drug convictions, so.
Yeah, you do perfect in Coney Island. Yeah, I could see you selling tickets for the Ferris wheel.
So hopefully I'm climbing up the squares.
Yes, bro. We want you to. First of all, we want you as an action figure to stay sober. Yes.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's true.
Put that in the rearview mirror and just keep looking ahead. But sobriety as a basis for you and I is a necessity in the action figure world.
True. I'm getting myself a sponsor.
Can't fuck around. And it would be a dishonoring of the gift of sobriety.
Yeah, man. No, listen. Once this COVID thing's over, I'll get a sponsor. It's just that we're on lockdown just now, so it's kind of hard to get.
Go to the Tuesdays and Thursday, one of our Tuesdays and Thursdays, and someone will help you there after the meeting. You can talk to someone. You shouldn't put having a sponsor because of COVID.
Oh, no. Okay. Thank you for your message. Yeah, thanks.
All right, brother. Take it easy. Hey,
I'm
going to
take it easy, my friend.
Let me say Michael Stacy, nice to see you, Michael. Joyce, very nice. Yeah, it's a nice retreat from questioning, Joyce, eh? Yeah, very nice. Julie, nice to see you. Dennis, always a pleasure. We got Helen, Mike C. We got Kerry Klein. Yes, nice to see you, Kerry. Yeah, I could see you getting kicked out of the Navy. You probably deserved it. Yeah. All right. We got Dennis, Sean from Scotland. We got Drawer.
Yay.
Nice to see you. Drawer Monk. We got Jono from the UK. Nice to see you, Jono. Norman, Matthew, again, pleasure. You've changed your background. That's cool. We got Norman. Yeah. Nice to see you, Norman. Robert, Sunil, Keith. Keith, it was a pleasure seeing you yesterday. Ben Carter. We got Macaulay. Macaulay, how are you, honey? Good? Good. We got Marty from Corona. What is that? Coronado in California. Nice to meet you. Robert, nice to see you there. Chris, always. Susan Matlock, yes. We got Joseph C. Nice to see you, Joseph. Jill Kerr. We got Fritz, Under the Mountain. Jeremy. Susan, nice to see you, Susan. Taking it easy there. Z, nice to see you, Z. Pleasure to see you yesterday. We got Glenda Driscoll. Glenda. Sonia. We got Sonia from my Portugal Zen Bitch Slappers. Very good. That's a giant voting block now in Zen Bitch Slap cult. Don't mess with the Portuguese Zen Bitch Slappers. They're very handy with fish. Be careful. We got Roman. We got Mike. He's the one who sets everything up, I think. I don't know. We got Kaiser. Kaiser, thanks for the job. Yes. John Walker. Johannes. Richard. Richard piped in today. Very unusual.
Peterborough, UK, by the way, Paul.
Oh, Peterborough.
Peterborough, UK.
Oh, nice to see you, my friend.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Peterborough, there's a Peterborough I go to in Ontario.
Yeah, there's two. There's one in Canada. There's one in the UK here as well.
Okay, cool.
It's north of Cambridge.
Cambridge, all right.
North of Cambridge, yeah.
I go to London. There's a guy, Richard, I stay with in North London in Highgate.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll get up there sometime.
Yeah.
All right, Tarek, nice to see you there. We got Mike again. Mike, you're blinded by the light. Pretty good. Judith. Nice to see you, Judith. Judith is the new capital of Zen Bitch Slap is going to be moved to Hawaii soon. That's fantastic. All right. Hey, thanks, everybody. And thanks for everyone who donates. And I hope you feel guilty, the ones who don't donate. And
Thanks, Paul.
Thank
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Adios, bro.
See you, Paul.